Well, millions of dollars in the red. An investigation is underway to see if some people are getting around high unpaid sewerage and water bills.
WDSU investigates. Cassie Sherm live in studio. Cassie, you're finding that there is a lot of money due to the Sewage and Water Board.
That's right, guys. According to the Sewage and Water Board data we obtained, more than $133 million is owed in unpaid dues. It's a problem some city leaders say is a result of incorrect bills and possible wrongdoings by employees.
Outrageous bill pricing, billing being inconsistent.
The bill right after this, $1,500.
Peter Lynch is a New Orleanian who, like many, got sticker shock when he opened a recent sewage and water bill.
Like why my bill is 10 times higher for 1 month than it was the month before. I don't use that much water in December.
And city leaders have gotten an earful.
It's been an issue since the moment we've stepped into office, and it's been one that's been pervasive for the last 6 years.
An issue Councilmember Joe DeRusso says needs to be a top priority.
Until you get the billing fixed, we can't talk about anything else.
WDSU Investigates dug into Sewage and Water Board data. It shows since 2019, the unpaid bills have added up by more than $107 million. That's not even counting overdue bills within the last 2 months. What's also surprising is who may not be paying those bills. That's what the Inspector General and his investigators are now digging into.
Some of these individuals that are not paying their water bills are Sewage and Water Board employees themselves. And while we can't talk about aspects of the ongoing investigation, there are different things that I think it's very telling, and it's something that has to be corrected. And yes, we do have to, it's some internal matters that they're doing.
Now, WDSU Investigates requested the number of Sewage and Water Board employees who still owe, but the department chose not to give us that information. But they did provide the policy for the department for employees, which states employees of Sewage and Water Board are not allowed to originate, process, or approve any transactions for their own personal accounts, relatives' accounts, or another employee's account.
Apparently, there looks like there may be issues with inside dealing, with fixing bills for people that really shouldn't be, which of course is the case, is going to inflame the public, as it absolutely should.
And WDSU Investigates found there have been a handful of employees who have been investigated by the board for doing just that. According to investigation records obtained from Sewage and Water Board, an employee of several years was found inappropriately adjusting and voiding bills for her service account, her husband's service account, and her mother's service account, resulting in transactions for services worth more than $6,300 that were being mishandled. According to the records, that employee resigned. But as the unpaid bills continue to grow, there are some questions on what is the exact amount outstanding.
Do you think we'll ever know at a point, like, how much of the unpaid bills are actually supposed to be paid and not paid?
I don't know the answer to that. How much of that is bad debt, where it's just the agencies vastly overcharge people and it's uncollectible and people don't owe it? How much of it is people may owe a portion or even all of it, but they feel like their bill is so wrong that they're not going to pay it, and so it becomes a really complicated thing.
Still, some paying their bills are holding on to hope that a fix may come sooner than later.
It needs to get better, of course, but hopefully they get it to a point where everything is consistent.
Now, we reached out to Sewage and Water Board, and they sent us this statement regarding the billing issue, saying, quote, "Since this was discovered, we have strengthened our policy, expediting the termination of any employee whose actions negatively impact the amount owed to the utility. We have also hired an internal SWBNO Chief Audit Executive to add another layer of monitoring, tracking, and safeguarding against such activities." Now, I'm being told that the Chief Audit Executive will make additional recommendations to safeguard those resources, and the organization says they're committed to transparency and accountability, and we're going to be following this, guys.
Yeah. Please keep us posted on that. Thank you so much, Cassie, for that. This isn't the first time, as we know, that the Inspector General has investigated Sewage and Water Board.
Well, just 2 years ago, they reported more than 24 Sewage and Water Board employees using fake or unauthorized handicap tags to not have to pay city parking meters. We've got